golden ray. Nice illustration, right? And I already know that if I start like painting, cause I paint too. I do like all art forms. I used to do murals on the walls, like big murals. I do pastels, chalks, pencils. You know what I'm saying? Like, but markers, it's always been like a childlike energy to me, and to be able to do something sophisticated with a childlike energy, it just speaks to a different value for me. So this is why I've been using markers. Yeah, I got like all types of markers, all types of different markers. And I think it's dope what the markers are able to do. It's like I can go over and go over and go over and go over and keep going over until I create something. Now, if I was working with an easel though with the paint, I'll be able to make my colors stand on top of each other. So then me doing it like this with a white background, it wouldn't be this way because it would be the whole universe. It would be blacked out with the whole universe in a retrospect, and then you would see the golden rose through the universe instead of symbolic universe aspects to give you universal feeling. You know what I mean? Like art speaks to a value. So just to give you that clarity on why I create in certain ways, it's because I look at the structure of how it's actually being put out and how I would want the image or the ideal laid into a mentality. So if I didn't have the right pretense to give it to you, then I would create a pretense. Okay, with that being said, we're going to have a story real quick before I go into the incremental science 20 of the golden ray, because it's a process, and this is why there's no PowerPoint. You don't see no pieces of information, but I do have here the story and the process. And I want to tell you guys a story that I know, that I experienced myself in real time, uh, dealing with the golden ray. Now, I've told this story before in on this platform, and I told no on YouTube, and I told it on another platform a long time ago. Um, and that the way I told that story that day, it amassed like I think 18,000 views. So I guess it was because the experience was fresh, and I was explaining it at the moment, and people were like actually happy to hear someone experience it the right way. So I'll just give it a shot and let you guys vibrate to this story. The golden ray. So jump past a whole bunch of the skepticism of the ideal of what actually happened. A friend of mine came through and we were partaking in um, DNA psychedelics or pineal psychedelics, like ayahuasca, like the tea, and more of a rare form, more of a concentrated form. And we like, man, this is like my Tai Chi instructor. So like we always be on some high level meditation, like all the time. Like the first time I got into meditation was with my Tai Chi instructor. So unbeknownst to a lot of people, the pure form of ayahuasca is only a mineral. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people think of it differently because of its effects. People always think of things different because of its effects. But it's a mineral, and it's a mineral for your pineal gland. Understanding that is ways of doing that correctly. You know what I'm saying? So here's me and my friend doing this correctly. And at the time I had my grow room in the house, and I had like a lot of plants around, you know what I mean? A lot of beautiful tall plants, fruit and flowering and all that. And the lights was beautiful. Like we had just had like a good game of chess. We was meditating. We had a good energy. So that energy coupled up the value of what was going to take place. So here we are partaking in the mineral. Became so childlike. Like the energy became so childlike, and it was like you would see golden energy off of everything. It's like golden energy is coming off of living and inanimate objects, right? So you're like, yo, you see this, and you're like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a giddy feeling though. It's like you're like, hee, you know. So it's crazy. So and it gets to the point where, You ride this wave for a minute, and it's like unlocking, or what you seem to think unlocking is every level of each chakra. So you feel a level of comfortability that doesn't exist. You don't need anything. You don't want anything. That's why they say when you deal with this mineral, it helps people come off of drugs. It helps people revert back to just a simple way of thinking, as far as having a oral access. You know what I mean? You're not just gonna want to have things in your hand all the time. It's like it makes you single back into yourself. Like it's a real powerful thing. So if you're one of those people who have an addicted personality, you might want to look into that, because it really will change that for you, like 100%. You just got to be strong minded. Ultimately, with this story, he left me with some of the mineral or whatever. We had a great night, great night. It was awesome. You know what I'm saying? A lot of love, a lot of peace, a lot of happiness. The next day, I'm in this energy, and we was talking on the phone. We was talking about the experience, and I'm like, yeah, I got to do this myself, but I want to do this in the right way. I want to do this within, the confounds of consciousness and meditation, and the highest value of my alpha fields. I want my alpha fields to be high. I want my pulse to be low. I want to be able to access. He's like, yo, you talking to science that's already written. I don't even know how you feel. You want to do this, and you don't even know about it. I was like, yeah, this is what my mind is telling me. But what I was speaking was what the pineal was telling me. And this is information. See, it gets deep like that. Like I was already being called to it. And it's like I was explaining it and didn't know I was explaining it verbatim for what was already wrote down. Never even experienced it. It was crazy. It's like how you speaking verbatim with this. It was just crazy. So here I am in this energy. And I'm by myself. And he's like, well, da 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 da. If you're gonna do it, I'm like, you already got the plan. This is what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So I cut the binary on. I get into this meditation, got lights out, it's dark. And going to this meditation, I'm like there for a minute, but like I'm getting antsy because it's like the feeling of me wanting to do it and me trying to just prepare for it is like clashing. So I gotta I shake it off. I shake the antsy off, and I was like, you gotta meditate. If you don't do it right, you can't do it. Like this is my discipline, so I'm telling myself, you know what I'm saying? So I sit back down, I get into the meditation, and I go deep into it. Here I am trying to meditate. It took like 30, 45 minutes for me to get there, but I finally did get there. So when I got there, I see the waves, the alpha waves pulsing. So now I'm in this state, and then I go in, you know what I'm saying? And I go in, the first thing that happened is I touch my legs, and my legs turn to water. It was like I had water on my hands. I'm like, water? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, I ain't got no legs. And then my conscience was like, you don't need them. And then I was like, but I'm sitting up though. How am I sitting up without legs? He was like, are you sitting up? And then I would think that I'm sitting up, but I was laying down. I felt like I was laying down. I'm like, yo, this is not it. This is crazy, right? So then I was like, but I'm breathing. He was like, are you breathing? I was like, and I literally felt like my blood stopped pumping in my veins. It felt like I just felt it stop. Whatever that means for anybody. If you had to understand what stopping blood felt like, I had an experience that told me that my blood and my breath stopped. I'm thinking to myself at this point, and I'm saying, but I'm with somebody. I mean, I got a girl in the room. Like, what about her? And he's like, nobody's there. You think somebody's there. That's just what you are making your reality to be. And I'm like, wait, nobody's there. He's like, no, nobody's there. You're by yourself. And when I was laying back, I was able to look through the walls, and it was like I was in space, right? But then I sat up, and I'm looking at the things in the house or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And the things in the house, like every little thing, the ashtray, a coin, a pencil, a picture, a vase, all these things are looking like geometric shapes and values to a mathematical aspect. And it's like, why am I looking at them in shapes and numbers? Like everything was like a purple color too, like a lavender purplish color. And they were all in shapes, like every single thing, the doorknob, the door, the window, everything. Like I look at the window, everything was shapes. I'm like, yo, why is it? It's like shapes, and they were all connected, and it was like a cage in a sense. But it felt like an aggravating little brother energy. Like if a little brother was messing with you or whatever, and you was like, ugh, It felt like that. So it wasn't like it was not surpassable. It was very surpassable. It was just it was very surpassable. It was just aggravating. So I broke through that and it just shattered. And when that started happening, a tunnel took place. And this tunnel was spinning around my head and I kind of like shot through the tunnel. So I'm flying through this tunnel real fast and there's all these crazy colors and it's like I'm going through a drain upwards. You know what I'm saying? It's like real fast. And then when I get up into this area that seemed like space, it was like I was coming up and I came up fast, like poof. And I'm just floating in this space like this, and I'm looking around, and it's like nothing. And as I turn and I'm looking around, I start seeing this golden line. And this golden line looks like a leg. And as I turn around, look at this leg, I see this arm that's stretched out. And this is all from my perspective of view. And as I'm seeing this body that's laying down on this arm like this, laying down like that, it's all in a golden ray. And then I feel my hand touch my head like this. And I look back and I see my elbow. And then I realize it's me laying down. But it's space inside of me. It's like a golden outline and it's space all inside of me, like the universe, the galaxies, everything's inside of me. And I'm laying there like this. And I'm sitting there like, yo, I just floated up here. How did I get like this? And it was like, I am. And I'm like, I am. And it was just like understanding. I'm like, well, if I am, how is? That's the question I asked. I said, if I am, how is? And it was, and the answer that I got was, you separated into 1,000,000 pieces, 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 pieces. And each one of the people who separated from you came down to existence and y'all forgot, or you set the motion for you to forget each other. But you set it up for you to re-meet each other in different parts in time. So therefore, the lesson you would learn from you all not knowing would create a value of going back to the golden aspect of universal principle. And this was the only way that you can find unconditional love for yourself. The way you can act, if you didn't have anything else to depend on but yourself, you would have to put all that energy into you. So this was the concept of marrying yourself. This was the concept of falling in love with you. So then if you fell in love with you, then you would ultimately learn how to love others. This is the golden ray. I'll be back with part 2.